Self-confidence is really someone who keeps promises to themselves.
I love that.
I think a lot of the blessings in your life aren't going to show up the way you thought they would. They don't come looking like what you thought. Like even maybe who you're married to now, like you're married, you're in love, but maybe they're not exactly the person when you were a kid you dreamed they'd look like, right? So a lot of blessings come in packages that we don't expect. But I grew up in the place probably that's one of the harder places to come from to win. I always say this because I think if you grow up really wealthy, then you kind of have access to stuff, you sort of model successful behavior. There's some downsides, maybe you grow up a little softer or whatever, right? If you grow up really poor, I think you know what you don't want, right? There can be some inherent advantages to that. I come from like middle to lower middle class, probably middle class, I guess. And so already not someone who has super high self-esteem. Naturally, I have to work at that. I'm kind of my parents used to introduce me, little Eddie, he's the shy one, you know, and that's a terrible thing to introduce a kid as because I acted shy. So I'm really introverted, very shy to this day. I'm still a pretty quiet person. And so I always have to have worked hard on my self-esteem because I came from such a low place. I think a lot of times when you see someone really confident, they've probably had to work really hard at that.
That's right.
They probably come from a very low starting point, which I did. So that's one of the reasons that I've had to work on myself so hard. Long story short, no, my confidence comes from my work ethic. So when I meet somebody who says I lack self-confidence, I know intuitively this person has not consistently kept promises they make to themselves. Because self-confidence is really like your reputation with yourself. If you've got a great reputation with yourself and you know you can trust you, you're not so concerned about your reputation and what other people think about you.
That's right.
So if you're always worried about what people think about you, it's because you really don't think great about yourself. And you don't think great about yourself because you lack self-confidence. And you lack self-confidence because you keep not keeping the promises you make to yourself. So my confidence came from my preparation and from my consistently doing the things I told myself I was going to do. So I built this reputation where I trust me. And that was where my confidence comes from, still to this day.
When did you start developing that?
I was doing it in my early teens, playing baseball, but I didn't have someone point it out to me until I got a mentor, which was Tony Robbins. When I was really young, I met Tony, and Tony's like, listen, you're a stud. It's not good enough just to believe in somebody. Like, if I'm gonna change how you feel about it, I can just go, you're great, right? The generic belief.
Right.
You have to anchor, when you're trying to lead somebody, you have to anchor that belief into something they intuitively believe about themselves. So you're great because, and then if the because is something I acknowledge is true, now I believe I'm great, right?
That's right.
And so he said, you're great, man. Not because you're this great athlete or, you know, you could hit a baseball so far, run fast. You're great because, man, you're a hard worker. You outwork these guys. Your size to play Division I, to go play professionally, that's incredible. And I started going, you know what? I do show up earlier. I do work harder. I am in the gym longer. I do what I say I'm gonna do. And it started to manifest itself inside me in my 20s. But you got to invest the time in your reasons why. Most people walk through this planet Earth just wandering around hoping for kind of generic stuff, okay? Then there's a few people who go, nah, this is really what I want. Now you're in an elite group. But what's the most rare is for someone walking around Earth who's completely specific, who's loaded with big time reasons that they've linked to it. Now you're powerful.
Yeah, like Tony Robbins says, he says, life will pay any price you ask of it.
I love it.